चन्दनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं सुदीर्घनेत्रपङ्कजं शिखण्डमूर्धजम् अनङ्गकोटिमोहनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं सुनासिकाग्रमौक्तिकं स्वच्छन्ददन्तपङ्क्तिकं नवाम्बुदाङ्गचिक्कणं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं करेण वेणुरञ्जितं गतिकरीन्द्रगञ्जितं दुकूलपीतशोभनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं त्रिभङ्गदेहसुन्दरं नखद्युतिसुधाकरम् अमूल्यरत्नभूषणं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं सुगन्ध अङ्गसौरभं पुरोविराजिकौस्तुभं स्फुरत्श्रीवत्सलाञ्छनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं वृन्दावनसुनागरं विलासानुगवाससं सुरेन्द्रगर्वमोचनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं व्रजाङ्गनासुनायकं सदा सुखप्रदायकं जगन्मनप्रलोभनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं श्रीनन्दनन्दनाष्टकं पठेद्य श्रद्धयान्वित तरेद्भवाब्धिदुस्तरं लभेत् तदङ्घ्रियुग्मकम्। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Ansuya Mataji, do you want to do something? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam.
Yeah. How many minutes, Mataji? 2 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes, Mataji. Prabhu has already joined. Mataji, sorry, Anasuya Mataji. I'm so sorry.
Problem.
Yeah, Prabhu has already joined. But you can do 2 minutes, Kirtan, because participants will also join with. Is it okay, Prabhu? Is it fine with
you?
Mataji.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, Pranam, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you.
Shri Radha Syam Sundar Bhagwan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Anasuya Mataji. And welcome, Aniruddha Seva Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just a small message to all the devotees that if you want to recite the prayers and the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, so from tomorrow I'm going to log in at 9:15. We can do it together here also. And if you have already joined some other group, you can, you may continue with them. But all of them who don't have any group and they want to recite, in association, so I'll be there from 9:15. So we'll recite 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Nandana-dashtakam and Chaurashtakam, and whatever will be possible in 15 minutes. So Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Yeah, Prabhu, over to you.
Yeah, Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Brajgana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajgana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajgana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajgana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha, Shama Sundar Radha, Shama Sundar Radha. Jai Radha, Murlidhara Radha, Murlidhara Radha. Jai Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radha. Jai Radha, Ramana Radha, Ramana Radhe. Jai Jagannatha, Jai Jagannatha. Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jai Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha. Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jai Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Vrindavan Dham, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Vrindavan Dham, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva. Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva. Jaya Shadgoswami Gana, Jaya Shadgoswami Gana. Shadgoswami Gana, Jaya Shadgoswami Gana. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev. Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jamishpat Param Sparachkachara Stotra Siddhasmas, his doing great Abhay Charan Bhakti Dham Samshma Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. ISKCON Samstapaka Shila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Jagat Guru Shila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Jamishpat Param Sparachkachara Stotra Siddhasmas, his doing great Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Ananta Koti Acharya ki jai. Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ राधा श्याम कुट्ट गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी द्वारका धाम की जय। गंगे में यमुना माया की जय। तुलसी भक्ति देखी समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशन बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। All glories to assembled duties. All glories to assembled duties. All glories to assembled duties. All glories to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Purushottam Adhik Maas ki jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees for today's Shrimad Bhagavatam session. So we are taking the third canto, first chapter, 31st to 34 verse. I'll begin with my prayers. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakata Mahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Saptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shibhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarusha Krupa Sindhu Bhyavicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarunga Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhire Nashtapraya Shabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So the shloka can be shared on the screen, please. Yeah, shloka number 31. Kshemam Kshemam Sakachid Yudhana Aste Ya Phalguna Labdha Dhanu Rahasyaha Lebhe Anja Sadokshaja Sevyaiva gatim tadiyam yatibhir durapam Shemam sakached yudhana aste yapal guna labdha dhanu rahasyaha lebhe anjasadokshaja sevyaiva gatim tadiyam yatibhir durapam Shemam sakached yudhana aste yapal guna labdha dhanu rahasyaha लेभे अंजसदोक्षजा सेवयैवा गतिं तदीयां यतिभिः दुरापाम्. Word by word meaning. Kshemam, all good. Sa, he, kachit, whether. Yuyudanaha, Satyaki. Aste, is there. Yeah, one who. Falgunat, from Arjuna. Labdha, has achieved. Dhanu, rahasyaha. One who understands the intricacies of military art. Lebhe, also achieved. Anjasa, easily. Adokshaja, of the transcendence. Sevaya, by service. Eva, certainly. Gatim, destination. Tadiyam, transcendental. Yativihi, by great renouncers. Durapa, very difficult to achieve. Translation, Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O Uddhava, does Yudhana fare well? He learned the intricacies of the military art from Arjuna and attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach even for great renouncers. The destination of transcendence is to become the personal associate of personality of Godhead, who is known as Adokshaja. He who is beyond the reach of the senses. The renouncers of the world, the sannyasis, give up all worldly connections, namely family, wife, children, friends, home, wealth, everything to attain the transcendental bliss of Brahman happiness. But Adokshaja happiness is beyond Brahman happiness. The empiric philosophers enjoy a transcendental quality of bliss by philosophical speculation on the supreme truth, but beyond that pleasure is the pleasure enjoyed by Brahman in his eternal form of the personality of Godhead. Okay, so the devotees can read. One of the devotees will like you.
Anusya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanwat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna
Brahman
Prabhu.
bliss is enjoyed by living entities after liberation from material bondage. But Parabrahma, the personality of Godhead, enjoys eternally a bliss of his own potency, which is called the Ahladini potency. The epic philosopher who studies Brahman by negation of the external features has not yet learned the quality of the Ahladini potency of Brahman. Out of many potencies of the omnipotent, there are three features of his internal potency, namely Samvit, Sandhini, and Ahladini. And in spite of their strict adherence to the principles of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Dhyana, Dharana, and Pranayama, the great yogis and jnanis are unable to enter into the internal potency of the Lord. This internal potency is, however, easily realized by the devotees of the Lord by dint of devotional service. Yudhana achieved this stage of life, just as he achieved expert knowledge in military science from Arjuna. Thus, his life was successful to the fullest extent from both the material and spiritual angles of vision. That is the way of devotional service to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Om Gnanati Vrandasya Dhananjana Shalaka Chakshunmitamana Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Yeah, so now we are in this third canto where the title, which is Questions by Vidura. So the discussions is going on between Vidura and Maitreya Muni, because he meets Maitreya Muni, and as prophesied earlier that he will be meeting, Maitreya Muni, and he will be getting the knowledge from him. So the same thing happens here. So he's asking Maitreya Muni, who has again heard Bhagavatam, and now he is going to repeat it to Vidura. Like there are series of discussions Bhagavatam which has happened, as we know, like Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, and then Shaunaka Rishi to all the other rishis in Naimisharanya. So like this, it is going on. And then here also we can see Sutta Goswami to Shaunaka Rishi, and all the rishis headed by Shaunaka Rishi. So we can see that Bhagavatam is is written in such a way that there is a lot of flashbacks. That what each one is asking the question, inquirer is there, a hearer is there, and the Lord's pastimes are discussed. So like that, there are so many questions which each of these inquirers are there. They're asking, and the answers are given by the exalted devotees. So, so here in the same chapter, we get again Suta Goswami. He is telling about the activities of the Lord, and he is actually praising Shukadeva Goswami, or Shukadeva Goswami was a highly experienced and was pleased, great devotee of the Lord. He had heard directly from Vyasdev. So, and he is, glorifying. So every place that, the glorification is happening. Now here, the Vidura is the inquirer, as a humble inquirer. He is asking questions on our behalf so that we can understand the topics very easily. So, as we have seen that Vidura, he when the war was about to start, the Mahabharata, in Kauravas and Pandavas, he did his level best to pacify, to make Dhritarashtra understand that this is a futile, war is not required, and just let Duryodhana hand over that 5 villages. But that was not done because out of his Putra Moha, Duryodhana's, and then his material afflictions, he did not heed, and then eventually the war had to take place. So disgusted with Dhritarashtra, so much of attachment. Obviously, I mean, it's actually the same family. It is the brothers who are going to rule the place. And he could have as well, given away those 5 villages, but he did not give. So like this, it is highlighting how Dhritarashtra was the epitome of that material attachment. So disgusted with this, his attitude, and he leaves the palace, and then he goes on a pilgrimage, and because he want to be non-committal to the war. He was actually not supporting to the war, so he did not want to know what is going to happen, result also. So that happens, and then during his pilgrimage, he meets, wherever he goes, he's always fully Krishna conscious. He visits all the places of pilgrimage, always, seeking, that Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu, that Vasudeva Kutumbakam, that kind of a character he had. And then he was always praying that everything, transcendence will prevail, and the whole place will be purified with the presence of the Lord, and then peace will prevail. He had that very, very good notion. And he went to Ayodhya, Dwarka, Mathura, so many other places, all the places he was only contemplating on the Lord. And finally, he comes towards this Surat, the Gujarat area, Matsya area, and all that. And there, after having passed through that also, he goes to Yamuna, banks of Yamuna, where he meets Uddhav, a great devotee of Lord Krishna. And Uddhav also, not much has been described about his background, but he is the disciple of Brahaspati. So, and then he happened to be, he was living in the same northern, the Mathura, Vrindavan area, and then he was also one of the minister of the Vrishnis. So he was very respected. Since he was a disciple Brahaspati and all that, so he had interaction with Krishna, and then he was by birth, he knew about Krishna's supremacy and Krishna as the supreme Lord. So he is always attached, and then whenever possible he was trying to serve Krishna. So he was actually a cousin of Krishna. It is said that he is the son of Devabhaga, who is the brother of Vasudeva. So like that, he was a relative of Krishna, at the same time a great devotee of the Lord. And it is also said that he was resembling Krishna in almost very much resembling Krishna. People used to mistake whether it was Krishna or Uddhav. So like that, he was there. And then, so here he meets, Vaidura meets Uddhav, and then he is inquiring from Uddhav, because Uddhav has been already, he's already a Vrajavasi. He's always there in this place where all the Pandavas were living. So that is how he comes, and then this conversation goes on. So in that, as we have read before, he's asking about Krishna's family, because after the war is over, and then he knows that many people have been killed, and only few people are remaining. So on that basis, he's asking this question. So in the previous shloka, 27 shloka, we understood whether the best friend of Kurus or brother-in-law Vasudev is doing well. He is very munificent. He is like a father to his sisters and always pleasing to his wife. So he's asking about, first he asked about the Lord himself. In the 26, whether original personality of Godhead who incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma, and who have increased the prosperity of the world by elevating everyone, are doing well in the house of Surasena. So he's inquiring about Krishna and Balram and all the his family members. Then he comes to Vasudeva, and then he asks Pradyumna, who is again son of Krishna, who is the commander-in-chief of Yadu, and the son of Rukmini. So like this, he's inquiring, and then asks about Vrishnas. That is the previous shloka 29 was about Vrishnis, Bhojas, all the other kings who supported Ugrasena, who supported Pandavas. And then finally, he comes to this Yuyudhana. Yuyudhana is actually Satyaki. So Satyaki is also one of the, and before this he asked about Shamba. Shamba is again the son of Jambavati, one of the wives of Krishna. So principal wives, basically Satyavati, Satyabhama, Rukmini and Jambavati. These three were the principal wives. So like this, Jambavati son was Samba, and then Rukmini's son was Pradyumna. So these two have been inquired. Now he comes to Yuyudhana. Yuyudhana, actually, as the shloka itself says that he learned all the intricacies of military art from Arjuna. So Arjuna had trained him very nicely. He was a great disciple of Arjuna, and then he learned, and he was an expert archer. In fact, at that point of time, anyone was there as powerful as Arjuna as an archer was Karna was there, and apart from Karna, then it was actually Satyaki, Yudhana. So he was very prominent, and in fact, even in the Mahabharata war also, he played a very, very significant role. Satyaki also was one of the Vrishni, coming from the Vrishni family. So he played a very significant role. Just to highlight about that, he was in the Kurukshetra Yuddha war. He in the second day itself, he had fought with Shakuni, and he had defeated Shakuni. Okay, so on the 12th day, he had defeated Karna. In fact, Karna was such a great warrior, as we discussed just now. He was very, very great archer, but even he was defeated. And Satyaki had brought his own almost one Akshohani Sena for the help of Pandavas. So like that, he had given all his life out to Pandavas, and because Krishna was there, so he knew about Krishna's supremacy. So he had committed himself to Pandavas. In fact, when Krishna had gone to make a peace, Sandhi with Duryodhana, just before even the war had started. At that time, Satyaki had accompanied Krishna, and as we know that when Krishna went for peace and Sandhi or reconciliation, Duryodhana and all the other, including Dushasana and all the, including Dhritarashtra, never agreed for the peaceful settlement, reconciliation, and they flatly refused. They didn't respond. And in fact, Duryodhana wanted to imprison Krishna. And then he made an attempt to imprison also, but he was not able to fulfill that. He could not, because who can capture Krishna? Who can chain Krishna? And at that point of time, Krishna had shown the glimpse of the Vishwarupa, just the initial hint, just the very preliminary, or like we have this preview or a teaser like that of the main film, like we get a preview. He had shown a teaser of the Vishwarupa, and in that Vishwarupa, of course, Dronacharya, Krupacharya, Dronacharya, and a few of those saintly people were able to see. Of course, Satyaki also was able to see, but unfortunately, Duryodhana and all the Kauravas could not see that Vishwarupa. But they were, it was a huge effulgence, and the radiance had actually blinded their eyes. Even, of course, Dhritarashtra was already blind, but he was feeling the heat. Not only the light, the heat also they were feeling, and they were bewildered. Duryodhana, all the Kauravas. And in spite of having that experience also, they were not willing to accept Krishna's supremacy. And somehow, as the fortune, the providence had, they had to finally face the war. So like that, this Satyaki was very prominent. He was a great warrior. And then again, that in the later part of the war, he had even Drona was becoming very powerful, and Drona, and as we know that Jayadratha, Drona, and all were very powerful. They also were about to. They had actually captured Arjuna, and then Arjuna was about to be defeated. At that time, Satyaki came in the help, and then he fought with Drona the whole night. I think the entire night he fought with him, and then he frustrated Drona with all the weapons. Whatever Arjuna had taught him, he used all those divine weapons, and then he rescued. So like this, after that, then finally he also defeated and killed Dushasana. So like that, it's a great, he was a great warrior, and then a great example of how much, if you are devoted to a great guru or a teacher, then all the knowledge will come to you. You can fight. So you can fight, and you can, easily do the best. Apart from that, Satyaki was also a surgeon, great surgeon, and also he was a doctor. I mean, he was doing the ENT, eye, nose and throat. Shalya means it's a surgery. He's a surgeon as per Ayurveda, and then Shalakya means the ENT expert. So like that, he was a very, very multi-character, multi-talented personality. So that personality, we are fortunate to hear about his glories and then discuss about him. And also to become a perfect disciple, I think he's setting a great example. So we need to imbibe his qualities, and then whoever we are, Shiksha Gurus or whatever seniors are there, Guru Paramparas are there. We have to be so much obliged to them, and then do our practice sadhana in such a perfect way that we should pray to them, all these great devotees, so that we can do some little dasya seva. So, and then as per the shloka says, he learned the intricacies and attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach even for great renouncers. So he finally reached, as a personal associate, he got the ultimate destination. And here Prabhupada talks about Adokshaja, who is Krishna, because he is one who is not reachable by our material senses. The Lord is beyond our material senses. Only by doing bhakti yoga, by being in the Shuddha Sattva, then only we can attain his abode. But of course, because we are now bounded, conditioned soul, we have to be in the mode of goodness, the Sattvagun, and practice bhakti. Then only we can overcome the material nature and then reach the Lord's. So Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchate. So that can be done. Sarvopadi Vinurmaktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam. As Rupa Goswami says, that we should leave all our designations, material designations, and then come out of that platform, and then tat paratvena nirmalam, and then we should always concentrate and stay or pray for the transcendental position, and then do this bhakti seva. Then what happens? By using our senses, of course, we all got these senses, material senses, but we have to use unto whom? Rishikena, Rishikesha. So Rishikesha is again the master of the senses, Krishna, and then only that is actually called the bhakti. Then only we can be that platform of bhakti. And also, as Bhagavad Gita also says that Mam cha avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So that sagunan samatitaitan, then we can overcome this materialistic, the sattvagun also, and then be placed in the Vishuddha Sattva or the bhakti platform, which is not contaminated by this modes of 3 modes. Then only we can reach the transcendental bliss. So that's what here Prabhupada is talking about Brahman happiness. So this Adokshaja happiness is actually the beyond the Brahman. Brahman, as we have discussed, Brahman, the 3 stages of realization, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So that this Bhagavan realization or serving the Lord in his personal capacity is the topmost. And here Prabhupada talks about the 3 potencies which are there given by the Lord, which is the Lord has his 3 internal potencies. What are the features of this internal potency? One is samvit. You would have been knowing about it. Maybe people would have discussed. Samvit is actually the potency of the intelligence, the Lord's intelligence, the Lord's the sensory perceptions. So this the Lord is having it. So he is the owner of that samvit potency. And the Sandhini is actually the existential potency, where how the whole creation has been made, how the arrangement the Lord has made in the terms of the Prakriti, or in terms of, say, for example, the gravitational force, how Ananta Shesha is there holding the entire universe, entire 14 worlds, he is holding it. And he's the one who is taking care of this. He's helping the Lord, Balram, helping the Lord as Ananta Shesha. And this is the Sandhini potency. So Sandhini potency gives us that environment where the ecosystem where we can do our sadhana, all the paraphernalia, all the temple facilities, all these arrangements are made through this Sandhini or the existential potency. Then obviously you have the place of worship, you have everything to worship, you have the equipment, you have all the paraphernalia, you have the intelligence by Samved. Now all that you also need is the spiritual potency, the spiritual, the urge or the inclination or the desire, that attachment to do the service. So that is given by the Hladini. Hladini, who is the owner of Hladini potency? None other than Srimati Radharani. She is the one. She is actually, because she is the topmost servitor. So she is having that Hladini Shakti. And she can give that spiritual, surcharge us with the spiritual energy. And with that, we can perform our sadhana without, laziness, without, any kind of a ill motive or not with a good intention. So that if you have to do it with the right intention, right mood, that Hladini Shakti, we should have that tinge of it. And that we have to beg with Srimati Radharani. And she can give that. With that only we can perform our Unnata sadhana. And finally, Prabhupada talks about this Yama, Niyama, Asana. As you know, this is actually the Ashtanga Yoga. Under the Ashtanga Yoga, we have these 8 the 8 stages. So Yama, as we all know, that Yama is actually the withdrawal of all our Yama is actually that we have to follow the moral discipline or the moral ethics. Then Niyama, again, we have to follow certain duties. One is there is a ethics, the principles. Then you have to Niyama, you have to do it, execute it. Then the Asana. Asana will come where you have a posture in order to do meditation. Basically, it is the Ashtanga Yoga. And then the Pranayama, where you have to do the breathing exercises, how you can control your life air. Then the Pratyahara. Pratyahara is actually the withdrawal of the senses, where you're in such a stage of the yoga that you're concentrated on your object of your meditation, and you're withdrawing the senses. Then comes the dharana, the focused concentration. Then comes the dhyana, which is actually the meditation, completely absorbed in meditation. Then comes the samadhi, which is actually where you'll find the enlightenment. So we see many of the devotees, like Buddha got enlightenment, and then some other sampradayas, they say that they got enlightenment. So that is this stage. But for an ordinary person, this Ashtanga yoga is nearly impossible. No, we don't have that kind of a the characteristics, or we don't have that kind of a power to do all these 8 stages: pranayama, asana, niyama, dhyana. So it's very difficult. So the best way in this Kali Yuga is that to take to the Harinam Sankirtan, do the Japa Yagna, and just chanting of the holy name, which actually will deliver us and then take us to the stage of transcendental bliss. So intelligent person uses that, which is actually the easiest method, and what is actually prescribed. We also should know what is authorized and what is prescribed for each of this yuga. So in this Kali Yuga, what is prescribed is the Japa Yagna. So that is the one which we are supposed to do. So like this, we can understand how Bhakti Yoga is much superior than all this Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga or Jnana Yoga, all this. So that's why even in the 6th chapter, also in the end, so Lord says that Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhaman bhajate amam teme yukta tamo mataha. So he says that this Bhakti Yoga, this is the highest yoga. So don't try to test and experiment and then fail by doing so many other different yogas. Best is this yoga. So like Prabhupada keeps mentioning one of these examples. I'd just like to state that very, very interesting example of what is the comparison of if you are doing some yogas and siddhis and all this, if you do perfection in the life. But if you're not doing Bhakti Yoga, what is the use? So there is, in a village, there is one Prabhu. So he goes to Haridwar, Rishikesh, and all those Himalayan places, and then he wants to learn some yoga, siddhis. So he goes, what is the siddhi he learns? That he can walk over water. Walking over water, my God, it's totally unbelievable for us. But he goes there for about 6-8 years. He does all the tricks and learns all the penance, and he does all the penances, and then he learns the trick from a great yogi, and then he comes back. When he comes back, so the whole village is excited, and they're already talking about him, and then they welcome him. They want to garland him, take his blessings, all that they're doing. And then, so there is, at that place, there is one very old man, actually probably a great devotee of the Lord, and he's a practitioner of Bhakti Yoga. So that old man, he finds a matured person. He finds out what is this happening, why all this hangama, what is happening. Then he finds out that they're welcoming this guy who has attained the walking on the water, that's Siddhi. So while everybody is, praising him, so he just says, what is that? What is he doing? He's learned this, and then he has struggled for about 7-8 years, and then he has brought this great siddhi. So that's why we are celebrating. So this old man, the devotee, he laughs and he says, how foolish you people are. What, he has taken so much, he's wasted his life just to learn this trick. If I give 2 Kaudis, or the 2, in the olden days, they used to deal with Kaudis or the Shankas, small shankas. If I give this 2 Kaudis, I can take the boat and tell the boatman, and then I can cross over the river. What is the need for all this exercise? There is no need. He has wasted his life, he says, and then he is cajoling them. So like that, learning so much of, spending so much of time and strength, and then learning a small trick, which can happen, whose value is just, by giving 2 Kaudis, you can cross over the river. What is the use? So Prabhupada keeps mentioning about this. So that's why we have to understand what is the best practice. And so here Prabhupada says that in spite of their strict adherence to the principles of yama, niyama, asana, dhyana, dharana, pranayama, great yogis and jnanis are unable to enter into the internal potencies of the Lord. This internal potency is, however, easily realized by the devotees of the Lord by dint of devotional service. So that devotional service is required. And finally, also talks about Yudhana, how he achieved expert knowledge in military science. That he was a daksha expert. And then Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Kuru Kaushalam, that you have to become, when you're doing your yoga, it should be you become expert, Kaushala. You should do it with a lot of efficiency, and you should perform that. That expertise will come. And that's what he says, that his life was successful to the full extent, both from the material and spiritual angles of vision. That is the way of devotional service to the Lord. Hare Krishna. So how much Prabhupada is highlighting about the devotional service is evident in this shloka. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the next shloka. So the devotee can recite the 32nd shloka.
Prashanti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanot Pranam. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanot Pranam.
Dhanot Pranam.
Kachit Buddhaswasti Anamiva Aste Sapalka Putro Bhagavat Prapannaha Ya Krishna Padankita Marga Punso Punsasva Aseshatata Prema Vibhinna Dhairyaha. Translation by Prabhupada. Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. Translation can read. Purport another next devotee can read.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation by Prabhupada ki jai. Please tell me whether Akrura, the son of Swapalka, is doing well. He is a faultless soul surrendered unto the personality of Godhead. He once lost his mental equilibrium due to his ecstasy of transcendental love and fell down on the dust of a road which was marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dhanot Pranam.
Divya Mataji can read purport.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Right.
When Akrura came to Vrindavana in search of Krishna, he saw the footprints of the Lord on the dust of Nandagrama and at once fell on them in ecstasy of transcendental love. This ecstasy is possible for a devotee who is fully absorbed in incessant thoughts of Krishna. Such a pure devotee of the Lord is naturally faultless because he is always associated with the supremely pure personality of Godhead. Constant thought of the Lord is the antiseptic method for keeping oneself free from the infectious contamination of the material qualities. The pure devotee of the Lord is always in company with the Lord by thinking of him. Yet, in the particular context of time and place, the transcendental emotions takes a different turn, and this breaks the mental equilibrium of the devotee. Lord Chaitanya displayed the typical example of transcendental ecstasy as we can understand from the life of this incarnation of God. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So now he is talking about Akrura, again one of the exalted devotee. So I would just like to highlight about Akrura also. Akrura was a son of Swapalika and Gandhini, the daughter of Kashi, and he was ruling in Mathura. So that way he was also connected with Krishna, and incidentally he had married Ugrasena's daughter. So like that, they're all part of the family of Krishna, and ruling different places, and they were very ardent devotees of the Lord. And Akrura was also very fortunate that he had seen he had very great interaction with Krishna as well. But now a very piquant situation arises for Akrura because of Kamsa's very overpowering authority and ruling while he was in that Mathura area. So he had employed Akrura. Akrura was his deputy, and he used to take Akrura's help for many of his activities, maybe waging war with small kings and small chieftains or something, or whatever it is. It was Akrura. But Akrura, although he knew about Kamsa's very demonic nature, but he was forced to work under Kamsa because he was in that region, and he was feeling very bad pity. Similarly, like how our Goswamis, the Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, were under the working. Actually, they were all very great, learned scholars and educated gentlemen, and holding the biggest positions of a prime minister and a finance position, a finance secretary. But they were working under Hussain Shah in Ramkeli, Malda area in West Bengal, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. They were actually in a forced condition. They wanted to actually, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come out in the Sankirtan movement, they wanted to come and serve him, but they were actually under the clutches of this Hussain Shah. And most of these Mughals and these rulers knew the confidentiality, the intelligence, and the trustworthiness of our Brahminical people, devotees of the Lord. So they used to employ these intelligent people, and like that, Dabir Kasa and Sabara, he had named them as Dabir Kasa and Sakara Mallika. So he had captivated these two gentlemen, the most intelligent time of that intelligent person of that time, and they were forced to work under him. And after that, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and then he gave them, and then in the middle of the night, he came to Ramkeli, which is the capital of the Hussain Shah. It is about 150-200 kilometers north of Mayapur. We can still see the place, Malda and all that precincts, that the deities, temples are all there. So there he came in the midnight. In the midnight, actually, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were protected by many of the soldiers around his house, but still they escaped and then went in the night and took initiation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's an amazing pastime. So like this, even Akrura was in such a piquant position. He was actually serving a demonic person, but he at the same time he wanted to come out of this clutches and then serve Krishna and his devotees. And that is how, by his by his devotional character, somehow he got the chance to go and meet Krishna and Balram. He wanted to, and Krishna and Balram were in Vrindavan, so they wanted to bring him back to Mathura. And Kamsa had devised a plan that if you have to bring Krishna and Balram to Mathura, and then he had organized a Dhanur Yagya. Dhanur Yagya is where the archery, the Dhanur, the archery, this thing competition was held, and he wanted to bring Krishna and Balram there, and then he wanted to actually kill. His plot was to kill Krishna and Balram, and by employing many of the demoniacs, and amongst them Chanura, Mushtika, these were the wrestlers, and there were so many other hundreds and thousands of demoniac asuras, and he wanted to employ them and then kill Krishna and Balram, but unfortunately Kamsa itself gets killed. So, and when Akrura was appointed, given the task of going and meeting Krishna and Balram, inviting them for this sacrifice in Mathura, so he was very happy that he's going to meet the Lord, because that time they didn't have a chance even to go and meet because of the clutches of Jayadratha and Kamsa. They were actually, devotees were really struggling. So this was an opportunity. He went, and while he was coming there, just about to reach Mathura, Akrura Ghat is there, where Yamuna flows. There he had the divine darshan of Krishna and Balram, in Krishna in his Narayana form, his original form, and then Ananta Shesha as Balram. So that form, he had a darshan, and then he was completely satisfied. And then he, by having that association of the Lord and being a pure devotee of the Lord, he also attained the Godhead. He went back to Godhead. So like this, Prabhupada talks about the pure devotee, and then he says how Akrura was looking at the footprints in the Vrindavan area, and he was lost in ecstasy. He was rolling around in the dust, in the sand, and then trying to get the Prema, Krishna Prema. So this is a great remembrance of the Lord, because Krishna had put his set his foot there in this holy dham of Mathura and Vrindavan, and he wanted to take the dust. So like this, Prabhupada is telling, the ecstasy is possible for a devotee who is fully absorbed in the incessant thoughts of Krishna. Such a pure devotee of the Lord is naturally faultless, because he's always associated with the supreme pure personality of the Godhead. So, and Prabhupada compares that like an antiseptic, if you have a medicine, you can keep away from the infections, from the diseases, materialistic condition. So that pure devotee, we have to keep thinking and meditating, and then glorifying them. With that, we can also get that same, like a magnet touching the iron, and the rubbing of the iron, the magnet also get that magnetic effect. And then he finally says, Lord Chaitanya displayed the typical example of transcendental ecstasy, as you can understand from the life of this incarnation. So Mahaprabhu exhibited that Ashta Satvika Bhava, the 8 characteristics of the topmost Mahabhava, or Krishna Prema. So in that, the 8 bhavas, most of you must be aware. So it is actually the feeling of trembling. You feel like trembling. You feel, the whole body discolor takes place, and then romancha, kampashru, the hairs will stand at the end of the on the skin, and then kampa, ashru, trembling is kampa, ashru is tears rolling down from the eyes. So like this, and then finally you'll become stabdha. You'll completely become like a statue. So these are the Ashta Satvika Bhava a pure devotee can get. So we just have to constantly think about these great devotees and great personalities, and that too, in such a holy month. We are in Adhik Mas, Purushottam month, so we should try to do as much as possible Bhakti Seva, and serve Vaishnavas, and serve the Lord, serve the holy name. And with that, we can actually, there is no doubt that we can also attain the love of Godhead in this lifetime itself. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the 33rd shloka.
Yeah, Subharao Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Yes, Prabhuji. Ovadipa.
Chivam Deva Kabhoja Putriya Vishnu Prajaya Iva Deva Matuhu Yavai Swagarbhena Dadhara Devam Trayi Tadha Yajnavitanam. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. As the Vedas are reservoir of sacrificial purposes, so the daughter of King Devaka Bhoja conceived the Supreme Personality of Godhead in her womb, as did the mother of the demigods. Is she, Devaki, doing well? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Radhika Mataji. Okay, Ramakrishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
As the Vedas are the reservoir of sacrificial purposes, so the daughter of
spiritual
sacrificial.
No, transcendental. Okay, this is like that. Okay, you can read.
So
Purport, Prabhu. Purport
by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Vedas are full of transcendental knowledge and spiritual values, and thus Devaki, the mother of Lord Krishna, conceived the Lord in her womb as the personified meaning of the Vedas. There is no difference between the Vedas and the Lord. The Vedas aim at the understanding of the Lord, and the Lord is the Vedas personified. Devaki is compared to the meaningful Vedas, and the Lord to their purpose personified.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So here in this, he is now asking about Devaki. The previous we saw that he asked about Akrura, and then Vasudeva was already inquired about. Now about Devaki. So Devaki, as is mentioned here, like Devaki gave birth to Krishna, right? So Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki. So here the analogy is, it is compared that the entire Vedic knowledge was the knowledge was given through the Vedas. So Vedas is like the mother. For all sacrificial purposes, you need Vedas, all the 4 Vedas and the mantras. So that is given by this. So like how Krishna was given. Krishna is actually the purpose. He is the object of our worship. He is the object of our adoration. So like how Krishna was given by Devaki, similarly for all sacrificial purposes, Vedas are there. So that analogy is given. And also she is the mother of demigods. Why she is the mother of demigods? Because as Aditi, she gave birth to Vamana Dev, and then we know that Vishnu also is already there. So, and she gave to many of these demigods, so like Varuna, I think Surya Bhagwan, Surya, so Mitra, Amsha. So like that, I think there are about 12 the Adityas. The 12 Adityas were given by Aditi. In fact, Indra, the head of the demigods, was actually the son of Aditi. So like this, that's why she is referred here as the mother of demigods. So such a great personality, Devaki, and here it's mentioned about her. And finally, Prabhupada says that there is no difference between Vedas and the Lord. And also in Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned that in the 15th chapter, in the Purushottama Yoga itself, the Lord's potency is mentioned. And in that, the shloka comes, Sarvasya Chaham, Hridi Sannivishto, Matta Smrute, Gnanam Aponhancha, Vedesya Sarvar, Aham Vedya Vedyo, Vedanta Krit Veda, Videva Bhavat. So like this, so the whole purpose of understanding Vedas is, if you understand the Krishna, then it is understanding the Vedas. So Vedesya Sarvar, Aham Veda Vedyo. Among all the Vedas to be learned, I should be learned. I mean, you should understand about me, my potency, my activities, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So that is important. And because I am the Vedakrit, I am the one who have written the Vedas, and I am the final shelter which you have to take. So like that, Lord himself has mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So this way, Prabhupada is explaining Devaki is compared to the meaningful Vedas and the Lord for the purpose personified. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we'll go to the 31st sloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Apis with aste bhagavan sukham vo yak sattvatam kama dugo nirudah yama mananti smahi sabdayonim manomayam sattva turiya tattvam. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, what about the purport?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Should I read translation first, Prabhuji?
Yeah, you can read translation.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. May I inquire whether Aniruddha is doing well? He is the fulfiller of the desires, of all the desires of the pure devotees, and has been considered from your to be the cause of the Rig Veda, the creator of the mind and the fourth plenary expansion of Vishnu. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Adi Chaturbhuja, the original expansion from Baladeva or Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. All of them are Vishnu Tattvas or different personalities of Godhead. In the incarnation of Sri Rama, all these different expansions appeared for particular pastimes. Lord Rama is the original Vasudeva and his brothers were Sankarsana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Aniruddha is also the cause of Mahavishnu, from whose breathing for the Rigveda appeared. All this is nicely explained in the Markandeya Purana, in the incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna, Aniruddha appeared as the son of the Lord. Lord Shri Krishna in Dwarika is the Vasudeva expansion of the original group. The original Lord Shri Krishna never leaves Goloka Vrindavan. All the plenary expansion are one and the same Vishnu Tattva, and there is no difference in their potency. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
So finally now he's coming to Aniruddha. So Vidura is asking about Aniruddha's. So who is Aniruddha? Aniruddha is actually grandson of Krishna. Pradyumna and Rukmavati's son. Aniruddha had married Usha, again one of the Mathuravasi. So one king, and so like this Aniruddha. And who is he? What is his explaining? I mean, the shloka says the fulfiller of all the desires of the pure devotees, and has been considered from yore to be the cause of the Rig Veda, the creator of the mind, the fourth plenary expansion of Vishnu. So Adi Chaturbhuja, Joshua Prabhupada is explaining that actually, if you have to understand Krishna's lineage, Krishna in his original form is actually the Gopala Krishna. In the cowherd form, Krishna, that is his original form, which we can understand even from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that this is the original Lord whom we have to meditate upon. And we Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and following the Madhurya Rasa, for us, this Gopala Krishna is the supreme Lord, and who is the reigning in the Goloka Vrindavan. So that form, the Gopala Krishna, is the original form, and from him comes the two forms which we discussed already. That Balram comes as to take care of the Sandhini potency, and Shrimati Radharani comes to take care of the Hladini potency. And then after this, the expansion is the first Chaturvyuha, which is actually the Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. This is the first Chaturvyuha. These four lordships, they come. Of course, each one have got their own roles to play. Vasudeva, Sankarshna, as we know, is Balram's. I mean, he's the one who's taking care of the earth, and he's having the Akarshana Shakti, the gravitational power is held by this Sankarshna. And then Pradyumna, and then Aniruddha. Aniruddha is actually, as the shloka says, he's the fulfiller of all the desires of the pure devotees. And also, he's the controller of the mind, creator of the mind, and he's the controller of the mind. So, very important personality. Pradyumna, I think Pradyumna gives about intelligence. He's taking care of the intelligence. So, like this, these four Chaturvyuhas are there. And after them comes the Narayana form. And then there is a second Chaturvyuha, again of this Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pradyumna. Sorry, first Chaturvyuha, second one is actually second Chaturvyuha comes, and after that the Narayana form comes. Like, for example, Tirupati Venkateshwara is coming out of the Narayana form. So like this, we have to understand the hierarchy. And as Prabhupada says, Aniruddha is also the cause of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is actually the Karunodakashai Vishnu, the first amongst the three Vishnus, the Karunodakashai Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, and Kshirodakashai Vishnu. These are the one of the incarnations of the Lord who are actually called as the they have a name actually. Purusha. Yeah, the Purusha Avtara. So in that, Aniruddha, the Mahavishnu is the first foremost. Then comes the Garbhodakashai, from whom Brahma comes out, and then the Kshirodakashai Vishnu. Kshirodakashai Vishnu is the one Vishnu unto whom all the demigods go and then plead. I mean, when we hear about that, they went to Kshirasagara and prayed to Vishnu. So that is that Vishnu, the Kshirodakashai Vishnu. So like this is the hierarchy which you have to understand. And here Prabhupada states that Aniruddha is the cause of Mahavishnu. So if Mahavishnu has to come, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Purushavatara, first Purushavatara has to come, it is actually the Aniruddha who is giving that potency. And from whom Rig Veda is appearing. Among the four Vedas, Rig Veda is actually the first prominent Veda. Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. So in that, from the breathing of this Vishnu, Aniruddha, through Aniruddha, the Rig Veda appears. So all this is explained in Markandeya Purana. So like that is mentioned. And in the incarnation of Lord Krishna, Aniruddha appeared as the son of the Lord. Lord Krishna and Devaki in Dwarka is the Vasudeva expansion of the original group. So here, as far as Dwarka is concerned, it was the Vasudeva expansion. So like that, the various categories are mentioned here. And Krishna never leaves Golaka Vrindavana. As we mentioned, that as a Gopala Krishna, he never leaves the covered boys, the gopis and gopis. He's always with the goats, the cows, surbis, and in the Vrindavan pastimes. Eternally it is going on, and he never leaves Vrindavan. If you have to, if somebody Asura has to be killed, it is actually the his Vasudeva Krishna. He goes and then he does all this killing activity. So there is a difference between their potencies and their activities. Of course, all the plenary expansions. Plenary expansion means from one single Krishna, there are so many avatars or expansions or his different potencies are there. That is coming all from one Vishnu Tattva. There is no difference in their potency. But according to time, place, circumstances, Krishna exhibits in the form of various Vishnus. That's why Brahma Samhita also says, Ramadi Murti Shukalani Emena Tishtan, Nanavatarama Karod Bhuvaneshu Kintu. Krishna Swayam Samabhava Paramam Pumanyo. Krishna is the original. Brahma says that. From him, Swayam, from him, all the other incarnations, all the other expansions comes out. Hare Krishna. So this I'll end today's session. If anyone has any doubts, clarifications, or any realization.
Prabhu, 35th shloka as well. It's just as translation. That's it.
35th is also there. I see.
35th is also there. Yeah, Prabhu.
Acha. Okay. Yeah. Somebody can read the 35th shloka.
Sudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Apisvidanye cha nijatma daivam ananya vritya samanuvartaye ridika satyatmaja charudeshna gadagdaya swasti charanti saumya. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O sober one, others such as Ridhika, Charudeshna, Gada and the son of Satyabhama who accept Lord Sri Krishna as the soul of the self and thus follow his path without deviation, are they well? Thank you, Prabhuji.
Haribol. So the common thread in all these 4 shlokas and Vidura's pastime, Vidura's inquiring, is that how much loving care he is expressing, how much he is concerned about the devotee. I mean, that is a hallmark of a devotee, actually. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also given that how we are maintaining our loving relationship. If you are able to maintain good relationship with the devotees, then the Lord will be supremely pleased and he will bestow the mercy. So that example Vidura is setting here by how he is carefully, lovingly he is inquiring about each one of them, and then trying to give us that message that in this path of bhakti, devotional service, if you have to get that love of God, first of all, we have to love other devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare
Is there any
Krishna.
question or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. If I may ask you a question.
Hi, Smitaji.
Prabhuji, I had a doubt with respect to the difference between plenary expansions, Vishnu Tattvas, Purusha expansions, incarnations. There are different words used. Does all
there is a break.
Hello, am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yeah, now it is audible. Tell Mataji.
Yeah, sorry. So does all these words imply energy of the Lord only, Prabhuji, or is there difference?
See, like Prabhupada also mentioned here, that these are all called plenary expansions are one and the same Vishnu Tattva. Vishnu Tattva is same. There is no difference in their potency. Just because Rama came does not mean that he didn't have the potency of Krishna, right? Or the original Gopala Krishna. Narsimha came. Narsimha does not mean that they didn't have. The thing is, they did not exhibit that potency. They exhibited a different aspect of the potency. You got it, Mataji?
Yeah, so it means all the 64 qualities will be there across everybody,
Yes.
but the quality what they will show is different.
what they exhibit,
Okay.
and according to time, place, circumstances, it is depicted and it is shown.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
like
Got
it is
it.
like it is one the Supreme Court judge. He's a Supreme Court judge. In the court, he's deploying all his his characteristics. You can see his characters, how strict he is, how disciplined, how he talks, gives justice, all that. But the same the judge, when he goes to a college, law college inauguration, he's in a different costume, or maybe his dress is changed.
Okay.
Maybe he's in a little formal and he's talking to some people, he's smiling, or he's interacting. But the same judge will come home and he's playing with his grandchildren, right? The grandchildren are playing on his head. They're pouncing him. They're making all that playing with him, squatting on his, sitting on his head, or sitting on his shoulders. So like that. And when he is with his family members, he's having a different mood. So like this, his attire may be different.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very clear. Thank you so much. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So we'll end the session.
Yeah, I will.
Vaishnav Pranam Mantra. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Chanda Mataji.
Padidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Koti Vaishnav ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you for the
Krishna.
wonderful session.
Dandavat
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat
Dandavat
pranam.
pranam.
Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shall I end the session, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.